This is another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD, a podcast about the passionate people who have a heart for students. This podcast is brought to you by Texas Bank and Trust. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD. I'm your host, Jennifer Hines, and joining us today is Tyler ISD educator, Mr. Michael Sturrock. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm stoked to talk to you.
We are super excited. Let's talk a little bit about just who you are and your path to where you are now today here at the Career and Technology Center. You've been here since a year after the Career and Technology Center opened.
Yeah. 1 year after I showed up here after hearing about from someone on the board, believe it or not, from an advisory board who's my cousin, Lance Sturrock.
Oh, okay.
And he told me about this place called the Career and Technology Center. Said there was a graphic design teacher opening, and I was like, stars are aligned.
That's your background.
That's my background. And so I immediately came to the CTC, and which is the Career and Technology Center, and met with the executives, and but before I knew it, I had keys and a room, and I was teaching graphic design.
Well, now let's back up a little bit before that.
Okay.
You had spent 10 years in graphic design at Brookshire's.
Mm-hmm.
You had done some work in oil and gas, and when that slowed down, you started subbing, and you were getting your certification to be a teacher. So it was stars aligning. You
True.
had all this other background knowledge to where it all kind of came together.
Totally. I had always done camp counseling, mentoring young men, doing extracurricular stuff for church and with schools and with camps. And I just always loved coaching and teaching, whatever form it was. And so when I got the chance to sub K through 5 at Cumberland, I just found a real passion for teaching itself, what the classroom looked like. What does it mean to elevate a student, to help them be successful, to give them belief, because belief is so powerful. And I just realized that's where I wanted to focus my attention from then on. And here we are.
Here you are, and taking your knowledge and being able to put it into a curriculum type setting, and then sharing that with students.
Right.
It's absolutely amazing. Of course, 29 plus years of computer art and graphic design
Right.
experience. Married with 2 kids.
Married with 2
and
kids.
how old are those kiddos now?
19 and 17.
Oh my
19 and
goodness.
17. Yeah.
Growing up super
Yeah.
fast. And of course, you are our 2020 District Teacher of the Year. And you do come from a household of educators.
Yep.
Your mom was a teacher for 30 years at Orr Elementary, and I love this fun fact, and that is that in 1990, she was the District Teacher of the Year, and then literally 30 years later, you were the District Teacher of the Year. That is so fun.
Oh my gosh, our hug was so massive. I mean, just that full circle moment for a mom, especially to have her son be in education, which she was in,
Yes.
and then to have him win Teacher of the Year. And you surprised me actually down this hallway, which was so fun.
I did.
And it was just amazing because that was such a hard year.
It was. It was
a
during the
really
pandemic.
hard during the pandemic. And so I'll never live that moment down. It was awesome.
That's great. Well, tell us a little bit more about your mom. How did she influence your passion to go into teaching?
I would go with her to some students' houses, these students that really needed help, needed food, needed hope, needed belief. And I would go with her as a young kid, 8 and 10 years old, and I would see what she would do and how she changed their lives. They still, to this day, 30-something years later, come and visit her.
Oh, wow.
And so she just made such an impact that, that was such an influence on me. And she didn't get to do it at the best facilities always. It was, sometimes it was hot, sometimes it wasn't all nice and fancy, but she plowed right through. And that was just inspiring to me. And she's a natural-born teacher, even at home. Always inspiring, always helping, and that's where my heart is. I love to help. That's what I love to do.
That's awesome. Well, I have to mention, you were honored also as the Career and Technology Association of Texas Area 3 as their Teacher of the Year in 2021. So you kind of have continued to climb. Tell us a little bit about your teaching philosophy.
When I began, I kind of thought that knowledge is king and wisdom is queen on this chessboard of life. That's what I wrote about in my 2020 Teacher of the Year paper. Mm-hmm. But since then, I found out that I want to start everything with empathy. Mm-hmm. If I begin with empathy, it leads to communication. And with communication, it goes from a bridge from nowhere to somewhere. And when I'm at that somewhere, trust is built. And when you have the foundation of trust, that relationship happens and you can help people succeed. You give them belief, and belief is the most powerful thing. Yeah. When I can help a student believe that they can do something, And, you know, the ones that feel like they have nothing.
Yeah.
When they believe, getting out of my class, they believe that they can do something. That's the most special thing to me. I just love it. And it's with teachers now, because I'm kind of an instructional coach, to help a teacher, you know, have some stake in the game, be able to run her or his class in a way that gets those students successful. It's so powerful.
Let's talk about this backward design concept that you like.
Sure. Backwards by design is kind of like a begin with the end in mind. Grant Wiggins actually talks about it. I've been studying some of his work. And I love that he states that, like, when you're a coach on the sideline, you're really, especially a soccer coach, you're out of it. You can't call timeout. Those students have to be able to critically think. And so if you begin with the end in mind, I want my students to critically think, not know the answer, not check the right box, to critically think. If that's the end in mind, I start with that and go backwards. So what success criteria am I going to need? What objective am I going to need? What essential question am I going to need? Where am I going to start this presentation? And how do I get it to be student-focused instead of teacher-focused? And that's backwards by design, and it's been a pretty powerful philosophy to use or a strategy to use, especially last year. I had all seniors, which was amazing.
Wow.
I had one little junior, but I had all seniors. And to see that take place where the students took ownership of the instructions, the rubric, the theme, or whatever we were doing in graphic design, the goal in mind at the end, and see them run it. Even if I wasn't in the classroom, maybe I had a sub, teachers would just say, wow, they're running the class. This is student focused. So critical thinking is the backwards by design.
And they created some really cool things.
Thank you.
I saw some of their graphics and videos, and it was phenomenal.
Thank you.
So you just mentioned this. You have moved into a new role this year. Tell us a little bit about that and what you're going to be doing.
Well, it's wild. I started last year talking to Dr. Walls, who's the CCMR Executive Director of Career and College Military Ready.
Yes.
CCMR. I just told her where my heart was. I said, if I could ever be in a different role than teaching, it would be where I could really help teachers. I have such a heart for teachers, especially first-year teachers, because it's not for the faint of heart. And I love teaching itself. So I just thought, I'll talk to Dr. Walls about this and see where this leads. And it was kind of wild how things kind of snowballed. I applied for the Tyler 1.6 team that tries to get their master's degree through Texas A&M Commerce, and I was awarded that opportunity. Thank you, Tyler ISD.
Yes.
I started that last year in January, or this year in January. Started through the year, through the summer, and I'm almost done. I'll be done in December. But along the way, there was an opening that happened for a CTE curriculum specialist, and with the help of Dr. Walls and Mr. Blake, who is our director of CTC, their support, and then with administration, they put me in that role, and I was absolutely enthralled to have that opportunity.
And that opportunity is going to allow you to help teachers. So what are some of the things specifically that you're doing? Because you're on the curriculum side now.
Right. So curriculum, the CCMR, which is College and Career Military Ready, that has become more of a focus from the state. That's 40% of our accountability rating now. So we need a curriculum that could be looked at and say, this is a legit curriculum that lines up with everything the state wants us to do. And that's my job. 8th through 12th, every single pathway that's in CTE, which is Career and Technological Education. A lot of acronyms here.
Yes, we love our acronyms in education.
There's a lot of them. So, I have to write that curriculum, 8th through 12th, every pathway. But what I've done a little bit differently than just write it, I looked at it from a teacher perspective because I was a teacher. Yeah. And I knew that instead of just reading a document and then saying, okay, what do I do now? Right. I embedded actual links to project ideas, actual worksheets, rubrics, etc., so that the teacher can click on that, pull it up, and immediately have an idea, a direction to go for their class.
Yeah. It's not just here's the curriculum. It's like, no, you got to create workbooks, you got to create instructions, you've got to create the rubrics, you got to create all the things, the project ideas. Yeah. Because that's really where they need the support. It's like, I can look at this, but then how do I put that into action? So this is the action portion of it.
100%, because career and technical education really is hands-on. It's project-based learning. And so what better to have project ideas than at your fingertips? So that's my goal. My goal is to, write that for this semester. We're going to do up to 10th grade. We did the 9th grade. We're going to 10th grade and then work on 11th and 12th. Meet with the teachers, kind of hash it out, see, how we can edit to get it right for their pathway, because they're the experts. And I'm going to work with them on that. Along the way, I'll be going in and coaching, helping, giving strategy ideas, classroom management, looking at ways to, get it more student focused, things like that. So that's what I'll be doing in between. So I'll be very busy.
Yes, you will be very busy. Well, let's talk about this, though. I mean, you've been trained to do this. What are some of the opportunities that you've had to be trained outside of Tyler ISD in order for you to be very qualified for this position? Sure. Well, it starts with Dr. Walls. She has been so supportive. And then our director of CTC, Career and Technology Center, Mr. Blake, has been so helpful from his experience in the principalship role. And then her role, it was a teacher, and she's, if you know Dr. Walls, she's done a lot of things. She's she has. Very bright woman. And so for her support first, then putting me in a campus instructional leadership team, a SILT leader, training us through Region 7, giving me opportunities at the Career and Technical Association of Texas, CTAT, in the summer, sending me to different conferences, such as Leaning Forward Texas, where I got to meet Jim Knight, who was very inspiring to me in his coaching strategies of listening. Truly listening is the way to coach. And that has been, those opportunities have just really propelled me to understand how to listen and have empathy and get the job dn. Honestly. You've also gained some ideas from SCAD, I guess. Is that the acronym? Yes, SCAD, another acronym. So that's Savannah College of Art and Design. They actually invited me twice to go to their campus in Savannah. Yeah. And it is the ultimate, I guess, creativity college and university. Yeah. There's 5 different campuses that the students can go to. And going there and get to see comparatively what we have versus they, which is great. This Career and Technology Center is top. You're a pipeline. So right. We're talking about the collegiate level. This is a pipeline. And so I was able to see comparatively, do we have the facilities to take them there? And we do. Career and Technology Center is amazing. So we're right on par with SCAD. And when I went there, I got to see how the teachers teach, how they handle a CTE type class, project ideas, et cetera. So it's been real inspiring to go there. Their campus is amazing. So now that you're working on all of this, you do kind of have your plan here for the next few years, getting all of this curriculum aligned and all of the teachers prepared. Yeah. What's next after that? It's funny. Simon Sinek actually says you need to begin with your why. And Dr. Walls talks about that a lot. Begin with what is your why? And it's funny, it's nearly 50 now. I find myself, what's my next venture? Is it writing? Is it reading? Is it doing another job of some sort? Well, I have to find a why, whatever it is. If it were to be, go on for a doctorate, is there a why there? Well, my why recently my heart is to write about education. Yeah. You see Grey's Anatomy and how their story lines out with people. And I don't know that there's ever been something like that in education. And our stories have been written with those students the past decade. Oh, yeah. The heart in the classroom that you see, the teachers that are on the front line, and they see these stories come to life. From the one I had a student who was hearing impaired and felt kind of like she wasn't in part of the class. By the end of the year, she was teaching the class. Oh, wow. Got to get me choked up a little bit. Oh, that's amazing. She taught the class, and it's just amazing to see those stories. But to put those stories on paper, it'll be amazing. And so that's kind of where my next why is. I love that. So what kind of advice would you give for those that, are in the classroom, just like you were last year, and they're looking to take that next leap, looking for that next why? Yeah. What advice would you give them? Well, I would say that realize a few things. One would be you are going to miss your students. Being out of the classroom, you really don't have that absolute direct connection with the students that you used to if you're going to get out of the classroom. Secondly, you will be busy. Yes. I promise you, you will be busy, busier than you've ever been. But I think you still have to ask yourself, why would I? Again. And like I said, mine was I wanted to go on and help teachers as much as I could. So if you're looking for that, Tyler ISD completely supports you. Yes. And like I said, Dr. Walls supported me, and Chris
Chris Blake absolutely supported me. So there are opportunities, getting your master's program, getting training, professional development, all of these things go towards you being more successful at Tyler ISD, and that's what's helped me, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're glad to keep you here and keep you in the pipeline.
I love Tyler ISD. I want to be here.
Well, and we're happy to have you here. Tell us, is there anything that we haven't talked about today or that you would like to share with those that are listening to this podcast, just either about your journey, where you're at now, or where you're going?
I would say that one of my favorite designers, his name is Bruce Mao, and he has a thing called the Incomplete Manifesto. And I've always liked that because it's incomplete.
Yeah.
So it continues to build. It's not stagnant. And one of the things that he says in there is allow events to change you. And I would say let that absorb, like in a classroom, absorb those stories from the students. Be empathetic and listen. Everybody wants a voice.
Right.
Listen to it. And by listening, you'll build that bridge, And so, I would say absorb those stories from the students, truly listen to them, and allow the events to change you. Be willing for that to change you, because those little students can tweak your heart just a little bit where it changes you. I had a little student I won't mention by name, but at the first of class, it was our 3D modeling class. It didn't seem like he was going to be able to do it at all. And by the end, he was the leader of the class. Again, the stories from I'm not going to be able to, I can't, to now I'm the most successful in class. Yeah. That stuff. Allow those events to change you, honestly.
And it starts with listening.
Starts with listening. Empathy and listening.
Empathy and listening. I'm going to remember that. Tuck those nuggets away. Well, thank you, Michael Sturrock, for joining us for this episode of Talks with Tyler ISD. We really appreciate it. And thank you, those listening, for joining us for this latest episode. Be sure to check out all of our episodes from Talks with Tyler ISD to learn about all of the things going on inside the school district. You can also download our Tyler ISD app, or you can subscribe to our district newsletter at get.tylerisd.news. We would like to thank our sponsor, Texas Bank and Trust. Subscribe to Talks with Tyler ISD on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Please share this episode with your friends and family.